Monkeys, and welcome back to AK Comoverse. Now, the last time we reacted to a video by Lenny was an absolute banger. So today we're here to watch why Ben is the most realistic character in The Walking Dead. Let's get straight into it.
Go, damn it! Get Clem and the others out of here!
Lee.
Come on, Lee. You gotta make a move.
Let me go.
If there was one character that I would have to pick in Telltale's The Walking Dead that was the most realistic, my choice would be Ben. I know a lot of people would argue that Kenny should fill that slot, in which I would agree, but I feel as though Ben as a character throughout the episodes has had a slight edge in terms of realism. So for today, I want to explain and show you guys why I think Ben is the most realistic character in Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. Now,
by realism, do you mean selling us out, getting a couple of members of our group killed, and being a stupid kid who everyone wants dead? Do you know one person in our group that wanted him alive? When we had that little Russian kid running around us, there were, what's her name, Bonnie and a black guy who wanted to save him, right? Who wanted to save Ben for real? We all protected him, but we didn't really care about him. Even Krista didn't care about him, bro. That's crazy to think about.
starting in episode 2, Starved for Help, we get to see Lee, Mark, a new member in the group, and later on Kenny trying to hunt down food due to having low rations due to being held down at the motor inn for 3 months. As Lee and Mark are in the midst of hunting, they hear loud screaming coming from within the woods.
Shit, was that Kenny?
Thinking that it's Kenny at first, they run towards the wailing noise, eventually meeting with 2 students, Travis and Ben, as well as their teacher Mr. Parker, who was unfortunate enough to be caught up in a bear trap that was hidden within the woods. Not too long we see Kenny arrive with Mark and Lee, and overall everyone comes to a consensus to hold the walkers off to buy time to get Mr. Parker out of the bear trap. But unfortunately, the fate of Mr. Parker is not too bright because we end up finding that he or Travis lose too much blood when bringing them back to the motor inn. With this, as Katja explains the cause of death, gets attacked by the now walker, this being either Mr. Parker or Travis, being saved by Lee and eventually killing the walker.
Wait, what do you mean, or Travis? Because when I was going through it, I saw that Mr. Walker was the one who turned into a zombie, right? So is there another instance where Travis could have been a zombie? Because that would actually be pretty sick. I've never seen that before.
The group collectively get confused as to why the body turned into a walker in the first place. With this is really the moment where we meet Ben as he explains that if you don't destroy the brain, despite not being bit, that you still turn.
It's not the bite that does it. You come back no matter how you die. If you don't destroy the brain, that's just what happens. It's gonna happen to all of us.
All infected? Everyone?
I guess so. I don't know. All I know is that I've seen people turn who I know were never bitten.
But if you go further, you would know that his full name is Ben Paul, a student who during the beginnings of the outbreak came down from Stone Mountain for the playoffs.
I'm Ben Paul. The man you saved is Mr. Parker, the band director at my school. We all came down from Stone Mountain for the playoffs when everything happened.
That's gotta be a tough way to go, you know? You're separated from your entire family. You do gotta keep in mind that he seems like an athlete, right? So maybe he's on the football team, maybe he's on a rugby team, maybe you're on a soccer team. You're surrounded by a couple of strong males, but all those strong males need to eat a lot, bruh. So is it the best combination of situations? Probably not. Another thing is you don't know the lay of the land, right? You're in a new area, so you don't know the terrain. You don't know the different areas you could go to, like, loot up. You also do have to remember they're probably in a hotel. There's not that much food in a hotel, so everything is actually going against y'all. Unless you were able to get back into the team bus, like, instantly and get out of the area quick enough with some gas on you, then maybe you'd be fine, but your family's gone. You're basically on your own now, like... This is a horrible way to go. I truly do understand why people feel bad for Ben.
As far as episode 2 goes for Ben's character, we don't really get to see much besides him giving small comments about not liking strangers, and overall from his body language and his actions we see that he's more passive and gets startled quite easily. But where we really start to see his character being more real is in episodes 3, Long Road Ahead. In episode 3, we see Lee and Kenny scavenge for supplies. finished, the duo head back to the motor inn to inform Lily about the supplies they've gathered. Eventually, though, they get into a conversation about supplies being missing from the group, and that, from Lily's words, that a trader has been taking things of high quality. With this, Lily tells Lee to investigate. Lee ends up finding the supplies in a grate. Lily goes on to suggest lining everyone up, but before that, bandits arrive asking for more. Lily sneaks to the top and ends up taking the first shot, taking out the first bandit, which then follows up with an all-out war with the group and the bandits until Kenny gets the RV running to escape the motor inn, in which they succeed. While on the road, Lily tries to pry into Ben and Carly to see whether one of them or both were the reason as to why the bandits came to the motor inn.
Low-key, it was worth it, though. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Both of them were being very defensive, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Whoever this one is, the news reporter woman, she was kind of trying to defend Ben a little bit, but I still wouldn't call it like she was on his side. She was just like, yo, get off his back. Lee was doing the same thing, and we could clearly see Lee was not on Ben's side, like, at all. Let's be serious right now.
Both of them obviously denying the claims. They tried to settle the problem on the side of the road due to a walker getting caught up in the RV. Long story short, Lily ends up shooting Carly for a remark she made, which in turn Lee decides to either leave Lily or let her stay in the RV. Question is, how does this all have to do with Ben? Well,
Also, wait. I'm gonna rewind real quick, but does Lily get to survive if we let her back into the van? Because I feel like in Telltales, you are allowed to make choices, but they're all null and void because eventually that person you didn't kill is gonna die anyway. So, what happens to Lily if you let her back into the van?
Or let her stay in the RV. Question is, how does this all have to do with Ben? Well, we find out that Ben was the reason behind as to why the bandits came to the motor inn in the first place, as he was the one sneaking supplies to keep the bandits from coming to the motor inn. The thing that makes his character being very realistic is him being cowardly and nervous while also trying to be nice at the same time, which for someone his age and the apocalyptic environment makes a lot of sense. So him being the outlier of not having that self-confidence in himself is fitting. But where the realistic factor comes into play is that he makes a lot of mistakes, so much that it costed other people's lives as well as his own. The whole situation with the bandits could have been resolved by Ben simply telling the group about the situation. Sure, he may have gotten some slack for it, kicked out of the group, or killed, which is unlikely, but you get the idea. But due to the fact that he wanted to see if the bandits had his friend and him simply being afraid, caused practically the whole group to fall apart.
Oh! Now, maybe I just wasn't paying attention because I think this is where I had to find a pencil, right? And it took me a little minute to find that. I was kind of getting pretty upset at that point right there. But I do not remember that at all. He was looking for his friend, and that's why he was giving away information. Okay, well, giving food for information. I'll say it that way, you know? I think we've seen this a lot in other stories. People trying to give stuff away just in the hopes of getting some information. Like Clementine giving one of those robbers water when he was about to die, in hopes that the robber could tell us where Krista was. It happens a lot more than you expect. So you know what? Ben is starting he's starting to warm up on me. I won't lie.
Said they had my friend, that he was with them. By the time I realized they didn't, it was too late. They said they'd kill me. Kill all of us. I'm sorry, Lee.
Carly ends up dying due to Ben not telling the truth and being afraid of the outcome of being alone and possibly dying. He indirectly ends up killing Duck, who got bitten because of the raid. Indirectly caused Katja to die because of her not being able to deal with her son's death, as well as Lily being gone. With the
Lily died too. The greatest part is later on in 40 days we saw that Lily died. So right now Ben's body count is high as hell, bro. What is that? 4 that we know about, and like probably more because his teacher stepping on that mine could have been his fault. I'm just saying. Ben has one of the highest body counts in this game unnecessarily. What's wrong with this clown?
Aftermath of these poor choices, you can see Ben physically and mentally deal with his actions as he's more sad throughout the rest of episode 3. But his mistakes don't end there, as in episode 4, there are also a few more poor choices he makes. For example, like leaving Clementine with a group of walkers while the group was in Savannah, which this choice is one of, if not the main key factor as to why people dislike Ben so much, which also, by the way, ended up killing Chuck since he stood up to protect Clementine, but ended up getting killed and left down in the sewers. And another being where he took the
Number 5 right there, and he wanted to take Clementine down too. I understand he's just a teenager, right? But you're a grown man at that point, dog. You gotta protect her. You gotta protect our property. You gotta protect our people, dog. He could not be trusted, and we still gave him chance after chance after chance just because he was a kid, man. You can't just keep giving these kids chances. It's not right.
Time, but ended up getting killed and left down in the sewers. and another being where he took the hatchet away from the door handle that was blocking the walkers from getting inside the school building when the group was scavenging for supplies in Crawford, which also indirectly killed Bree, a member of Vernon's group, while trying to block the door from walkers due to Ben bringing them in. Afterwards, you don't really see too much of Ben making a very poor choice.
Is that number 6? Did we just come across body number 6 for Ben alone? Are you serious?
Really, there's only 3 scenes that I would like to discuss that I feel need to be talked about that are important to discuss about his character. 1, Lee having the choice to let go of Ben from him being caught upon the bell tower due to a walker. 2, the scene where Ben tells Kenny off outside the mansion. And 3, the scene where Ben is dying in the alleyway after getting impaled. These I will come back to talk about very soon. As I mentioned, the multiple things of what Ben has done so far and the poor choices he's made up until this point are very much valid reasons to dislike the character, but your reasoning to dislike the character is what makes the guy so realistic and well written. This teenage kid that was heading to the playoffs to have fun unfortunately found out about the outbreak, and now having to deal with it has been on the run ever since for 3 months, having to be in camps but was ultimately attacked by the Raiders that we see in episode 2, doesn't know anything about whether his parents or his sister are even alive to begin with. His friend and his teacher end up dying in front of him, and now he's in this new group of people he doesn't know, and is now trying to be a help and compensate for the group, but almost every instance of him trying to do just that, he screws it up by hindering the group in some way or getting someone killed. It makes sense.
And he didn't even talk about the fact that he's the reason our boat got stolen. I, low-key, personally, would like to blame that on people like Kenny and stuff, you know? Why would you leave the keys with the like, kid with the boat, you know? That's a lot of pressure for someone like that. You also said he's gonna get killed if he loses the boat, and he was about to get killed if he didn't give up the boat. So, like, he was in a horrible position right there. But I also want everybody to remember that he got us stranded. Now, that's all I want to say. He's the reason he died.
It's for Ben to lack confidence and ultimately be scared because he's been on the run the whole time and also doesn't have anyone left. You see him mention not wanting to be alone when being confronted by Lily when they were on the side of the road after the attack from the Raiders.
We don't need all these boats. What do I have to do for you to trust me? I'll do anything. I'll do watches for months.
Huh, the hell you will.
I'll get more food, more medicine, anything.
You think any of that is good now?
Just let me stay, please.
She deserved to die.
God, please.
You're making it worse on yourself.
I just don't want to be on my own.
You should have thought of that.
Also, his age does play a part, not just with the lack of experience on really how to deal with stressful situations, but also the fact that because he's young, most of the group, and by most, mainly Kenny, give off hints that neglect Ben of really speaking his mind. Having that sense, how would you know you're just a kid mentality. So combine that feeling with knowing...
Kind of like what the doctor did. That little Mexican doctor who deserved to die, and his daughter deserved to die too, boy. He was like, oh, Clementine, the doctor's talking. You have less information on any situation than Clementine, bro. She probably survived longer than you did. She probably did better to survive. You're a bum. He's a loser. If he didn't have medical skills, we probably would have, like, abandoned him a minute ago. I'm telling you that right now. He's a loser.
Having that sense, how would you know you're just a kid mentality. So combine that feeling with knowing majority of the things that you do sabotages the team in some way leads to the 3 things I mentioned, starting with the bell scene. In this scene, for context, the group escaped from one of the rooms after being pinned by a group of walkers due to Ben grabbing the hatchet from the door handle. The group goes up the stairs within the bell tower towards the very top and decide to escape through the window via ladder. As the bell starts to ring, a walker is connected with the bell, and so the walker grabs hold of Ben since he was nearby. Lee shoots the walker and grabs hold of Ben's arm last second. Now Lee has 2 choices, either let go of Ben or pull him up. But the thing with this scene which makes it pretty sad is the fact that Ben wants to die. You see that he puts no effort and intentionally tries to fall. He even tells Lee that they both know that Ben has been essentially a liability to the group. What makes the scene tough to see is not the intention of him wanting to die, but the fact that Ben believes that for him to be truly useful in this situation or in general would be to not be in the group at all. What we just went over with, Ben hindering the group and his past and all, makes sense as to why he would do what he did.
I mean, is he wrong? Every single decision he's made so far has been the wrong decision, so at that point, you dying might be the best thing for the entire group. It might keep us safe for a couple more months at least.
Part is Ben telling Kenny off outside of the mansion in episode 5. This scene takes place after the group find out that Vernon and the patients took the boat for themselves. The scene only happens if you decide to keep Ben alive after Crawford. Now, I firmly believe that having been alive in the group after the Crawford incident makes the story even more interesting to watch, because in this moment, this scene of Ben actually deciding to stand up for himself is really the only instance in the entire game where Ben shows growth in his character. In the conversation, Ben apologizes to Kenny for what happened to his family, but at the same time explains that he's not the only one going through problems, as he doesn't even know whether his family is alive.
That might honestly be even worse, you know? You see the amount of pain it showed on Clementine's face when she didn't know if her parents were alive or not. She was just a little kid too, just like Ben. She literally almost got kidnapped because some random guy on the other side of a radio finessed her into thinking her parents were still alive. Like, Kenny, at least you know your family's dead, and at least you know the reason why they're dead, you know? Ben is not in the loop at all. His friends, family, everything you know is gone.
One going through problems, as he doesn't even know whether his family's alive, and he'll probably never know since he's been on the run the whole time. But overall, it really emphasizes on telling Kenny to lay off.
It was dead. No! You know how they die. You said goodbye. I never got to see my family, my parents, my little sister. Do you get that? Your family is gone, but at least you had them to lose.
Damn.
I never made it home.
I
They
pushed
could
the
be
hell out of you, boy.
alive or dead or walkers or worse, and I don't know. So give me a fucking break.
What's unfortunate though is that the moment that Ben shows growth in his character, not too long afterwards he ends up dying, which leads to the third scene. Now in this scene, the group, after defending against the walkers in the mansion and being stuck in the attic, managed to find their way out. The group ultimately decided to travel via rooftop to get to River Street.
Looks like we can stay off the streets all the way to River Street if we're careful.
Let's go.
Everyone takes their turn and make it across except for Ben, who falls in the alleyway and gets impaled through the stomach. This scene is very important because it shows you how much of an influence Ben has been to the group, where in hindsight they all knew that Ben was a scared kid at the end of the day.
For real, yeah.
Even Lee himself mentions this.
Kenny made sure that Ben didn't feel any more pain than he had to.
What?
It was Ben's biggest fear, you know. Kenny had one bullet and that's how he used it. God, poor fucking kid.
Of course, Kenny also knows, which is why he decides to risk his life to help him, as well as Kristen and Omid, who I wouldn't doubt thought similar things. I think it's...
Man, that is kind of crazy at the end of the day, seeing everybody really like... I'm still not gonna say caring for Ben or being like a fan of Ben, a protector of Ben, but understanding what he was going through and be like, damn, you know what? If I was in his situation, I don't know if I'd do much better. It's a perfect story. You gotta admit, right now, Ben is seeming like he might be the most realistic character. Could I relate? Probably not. I'd be more of a leader. But it's a very understandable character.
fair to say that majority of people that played Season 1 of The Walking Dead have disliked Ben in some sort of fashion, me included. Despite him doing some very poor choices in decision making, going back and really looking at his character makes a lot of sense. It's hard to really blame him for his actions when in his situation, I feel as though plenty of people would do things very similar to Ben, showing that realism, trying to figure out what to do in this new environment and pretty much find out how to survive without having anybody but himself to look out for. At the end of the day, Ben was just a scared young kid that wanted to be safe as much as he can, but in the end wasn't strong enough to live with the horrors of the apocalypse.
Man, what a beautiful way to go. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, that was great. The way he brought it all together at the end was unbelievably beautiful, man. What a great story. Benjamin might be one of the most realistic characters in the game, but he still will never be one of my favorites. You know it was great writing when you really have a little bit of hate for that type of person. The racist old father, like, what's her name? The one who we left on the side of the road. Her dad, we hated him for a reason, right? The cannibals, I mean, they were annoying as hell, but do you have any feelings about them? Do you really think about them? No, because they weren't really great characters. Shout out to Ben, man. You were a beautiful character. But if y'all boys have something you want to see me react to, let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one, broskies. Do say.